does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! We're back again today for another game review, another special tag team review. I'm here with my lovely wife, Melina.
Hello.
And today we're going to be checking out Aeon's End from Action Phase Games and Indie Board and Cards. This is for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 plus. It'll take you about 60 minutes to play. And this is a cooperative deck building game in which you're going to start off as a 90-pound weakling and then eventually turn yourself into a super strong dude. But this is purely co-op. And it's a very co-op-y co-op where you're really going to have to work together in order to accomplish your goals. There's variable monsters, there's variable powers, there's lots of different unique things in this deck building game. But do they come together to all work together? Let's open it up and check it out. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Aeon's End. So first and foremost, we got our handy dandy rule booklet. It is 19 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples, and it is very, very well done. I mean, they have tons of illustrations and examples of how the game is played. Big thumbs up on the rule booklet, but an even bigger thumbs up on this sheet of paper right here. It says, stop. Before opening any of the decks or playing the game, please read this sheet. This shows you exactly how to set up the game, and they actually have everything set out for you. So you will be ready to rock and roll and play the game in no time at all. Then all you have to do is read, I think it's like 4 or 5 pages of the rules, and you are good to go. This is incredibly useful. Every game company should do this. So Aeon's Ends is a deck building game. It is a cooperative deck building game where you and up to 3 other people are going to take control of completely different, well, unique characters. I should say completely different, but they are unique, different characters which will each have their own special ability they can do and even their own different starting cards. Because of course you're going to start off with your typical stuff. You'll start off with your money and your damage, but each character is also going to start off with their own unique card which will do cool things. Any ally may suffer 1 damage to destroy a card in their hand. So this one, if you're playing with this character, will allow their allies to trash. Gain 1 coin. Reveal the top card of the turn order deck. You may place that card on the bottom or the top. This one has the potential to give you $2, and also it will allow you to potentially mess with how the turn order works, because that is one of the really unique quirks in this game, is that the turn order is not 1, 2, 3, 4 bad guy, 1, 2, 3, 4 bad guy, or anything like that. It is completely random. And I actually forgot to mention that in pros and cons, but it's something I absolutely adore about the game. I'll show it a little bit later. So each character is going to get their own unique starting hand. They're going to get one of these things right down here. This is going to be your player board. It'll have your artwork. It will have your special ability that you can do. Activate during any player's main phase. This is always nice. It shows you exactly when you activate your special ability. Shuffle any player's turn order card into the turn order deck. So essentially, someone will be able to take another turn this round. So maybe someone is ready to deal a really big attack or heal or do something really cool. You can, if you have all your charges filled up down here, make it so that that person will have another turn this round, but since it's shuffled, you won't know exactly when it'll happen. Other than that, you'll have your player number up here, so you'll know when it's your turn. You will be able to put your life points here. And then on the left side and the right side, it will have your discard pile and your deck of cards. Because the way the cards work in this game and how you do that is a unique quirk. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later, but I just wanted to show you that there are lots of different characters that you can play as. Now, the last thing on your player card you might notice are these right here. These are called your breaches. These are where you are going to be able to put your magic spells. Now, if you have an open breach, and everyone's going to start with 1 open breach, you'll be able to put a spell card, which is a yellow card right here, or you start with a yellow one like this. You'll be able to put that right here and shoot it whenever you want. Normally, if you put it into a closed breach, and you see these breaches are closed, at the beginning of your next turn, it just shoots off and shoots a bad guy. But as you gain more control of your magic, you will be able to better control your magic. Now, this creates lots of unique scenarios. If you do this early, it means you can kind of cycle through your deck faster, because you might, put these 2 up here. Lots of cool strategic stuff you can do with that. But these are your breaches right here. I'll go a little bit more into those later. The one thing you need to know is you have 4 spots to put your magic spells, and you can also put a spell into a closed breach. Last thing, if you're able to open your 3rd or 4th breach, then you'll get +1 damage on cast for these spells right here. So next we got your buy row up here. Pretty typical stuff. You're going to have 6 cards out here. You're always going to have 2 relics and 4 spells, and then you're going to have 3 gems up at the top. These will change from game to game. The cost is listed in the upper right-hand corner. Some will be better for attacking, some will be better for healing, for trashing. If you played a deck builder, you know what you can probably expect. But what you will not expect, most likely, is that there's different currency in this game. There's a couple different kinds of gems, and most of these gems have various different special abilities that come associated with you. When you gain this, you may place this on the top of your deck. So that's pretty cool. The red one right here is going to give you +1 to spells. So this is +$2, but if you're buying one of these yellow spells, it's like having +$3. And this one, which is potentially my favorite one in the game, you may discard a card. If you do, any ally draws a card. Which is really kind of cool because, as I mentioned, completely cooperative and you really need to work together in this game. So next you're going to have these 2 dials right here. This is going to be your city of Gravehold. If this goes to 0, then you lose the game. Next, you're going to use this one to keep track of your bad guy that you're fighting. He's going to start off with various different amounts of health. It really depends on which one you are facing, 70, 70, 60, but you also can bump this up or down for various difficulty. Now, there are 4 different bad guys that come in the base game, which doesn't sound like much, but each one is completely different. This guy will make you gain bad cards that go into your deck. This one will spawn all these husks right here, and then you have to deal with them, and if you get too many, you lose the game completely. This guy, he's pretty self-explanatory. He's kind of the beginner boss. He just kind of punches you in the face every once in a while. And then this one, probably my favorite one in the game, actually eats your cards out here and creates like his own little buy row that you can buy from, but if you run out of cards, then he wins the game. Each one plays differently, which is really cool. He's going to have this deck of cards over here. It's filled with completely bad things. Those bad things might be events that you can potentially stop, for instance, if you just spend $6. And I'll show you how those work a little bit later. They can be bad guys. They can do all sorts of various different things. Player turn order. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Let's talk about it, and then I will show you what your turn will look like and the different things you can do on your turn. So if we're playing a 4-player game, you're going to have 1 player 1 card, 1 player 3 card, a player 4 card, a player 2 card, and then 2 nemesis cards, which are your bad guy right here. You're going to shuffle these up at the beginning of each round, so you will not know who goes first. So there is the potential that this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, bad guy, bad guy. But then when you shuffle it back up, it could be bad guy, 4, 2, 3, 1, which means, yes, there is always going to be the potential. Very unlikely that it could happen, but there's always the potential that the bad guy might take 4 turns in a row, which, oh dear God, is really, really bad, because these cards are really, really bad. Now, another thing I like about these cards over here, spoiler alert, is they start off at 1 and they will progressively work their way up to 3. They will get more difficult. Also, each monster has his own set of cards that he will also put into a basic deck of bad guy cards. So you have the basic bad guy cards here, but each of these monsters will add their own little unique quirks and nemesis that you will also deal into there. So let's get into how an actual turn works. We'll flip this over and we'll pretend that I'm player 3. Now, how this is going to work is that I should have 5 cards out over here. I should have my deck over here. Then I should have my discard pile face up over here. Yeah, face up over on this side. So I'll take a look at my hand. Let's see what I got. Oh, that's not a good example. Those are all special cards. This is much more realistic. So this would be my starting hand right here. So the first thing I would do is called the casting phase, which means I can cast any of the spells off in my breaches and do those effects. So if it's in this breach, I don't have to cast it if I don't want it. If it's in either the 2, 3, or 4 breach that are currently closed, I would have to cast those out. But next, let's get to the buy phase, because that's what you're more curious about. So the first thing I do is I take this spell right here, and I would probably, boom, place it right here in this open breach. That means I will be doing 1 damage potentially next turn if I choose to. Next, I have $3 to buy, and I also have this Emerald Shard. This is one of the unique starter cards. It's going to let you gain $1 or any player gain 1 life, which, yeah, that's incredibly useful if you couldn't figure that out. So I would have $4. Now let's talk about what you can do on your turn, and you also get your own little handy dandy cheat sheet card, which is very useful because it talks about your turn and also about the bad guy turn. Oh, I can't stop gloating about this game. So During the main phase, you can play your gems or relic cards. So if you have special cards, you can obviously play those. You can gain cards, your typical deck building stuff. Now, what you also can do is you can gain these little blue guys right here, which are charges. You will put them down there, and when you are fully charged up, which means this row right here is completely full, then you will be able to do your special ability as long as you do it when it says activate during. So during that phase. That will cost you $2 to get your charges. Next thing you can do is you can do what's called focusing a breach. So let's take a look at this breach card right here. Currently, it would cost me $7 to open it, but I might not have $7. However, if I do have $4, I can focus my breach, which means turn it in that direction, and then next turn it will only cost me $4 to open it. So, it might start off really expensive. It might be like $13 to open if you're not a good magic user. So you might slowly but surely open it up, and then eventually it'll only cost you $4. So you're going to pay more over the long run. So that would be focusing your breach. You can also open your breach. It doesn't matter if it's bright yellow or if it's kind of white. You just look at what the cost is, and you have to pay that much, and then you can open that breach, which is pretty cool. You can prep a spell to the breach, like I just did with that spark, or you can resolve cards that are up here, because some of the cards will say while prepped, and up here is in the prepped area, they will give you a persistent special ability. So that's what you're going to do on your turn. Last thing you do on your turn is called the draw phase, and you will draw up to 5 cards. Oh my goodness, I completely forgot about something crazy. All right, so I spent all these. Let's just pretend I spend all these. Now, here's another unique quirk of this game. I take these cards, I put them in whatever order I want, and then I put them into my discard pile. So let's say I want to get to this card quicker. I put it all the way on the bottom, because when I need to shuffle my deck, like you do in most deck builders, I actually just turn it over like this, so all the cards that were on the bottom go to the top. I know, blew your mind right there. So that is what you are going to do on your turn. Wow, really getting into this. Let's talk about the Nemesis turn right now. So the Nemesis, let's just pretend we get to him. So the first thing you're going to do on a Nemesis card is you are going to look to see if he has any cards that are still out and have not been dealt with. Right now we would not, but I'll show you an example of us having one. So next you're going to draw a new card, and you're going to resolve the card, and that's all he does on his phase. He has a very simple turn as well. So this one. This is a power of 2, which means I put 2 of these little power tokens on there. 2 of these little guys right here. 2 power tokens on there. And to get rid of this card, I have to spend $6 on my turn or on someone else's turn. Now, this card will, you know what, I'll just put it up there and it'll actually show you exactly how it works. So I put that there, and that would be the entire Nemesis turn. Very simple. Now, each Nemesis does have his own unique rules. For instance, if we were placing the introductory guy, if he had a bunch of Unleashed tokens on him, he would draw a card out of this deck and attack us, but we'll just continue on like this. So that would be right there. So let's say the Nemesis turn comes up again. So what I would do is I take one of these off, and when this one comes off, so the next time he has a turn, he's going to unleash twice. Unleash will be different things for different monsters. So for instance, this monster, that means he would eat 6 of our cards out here and potentially attack Gravehold if we didn't have cards. Lots of bad stuff. So I would take care of that, and then I draw an additional card. This one, unleash twice. Pretty self-explanatory. But there's also bad guys that will come out, minions that have their own sets of health. And when the bad guy gets a turn, they'll attack the city, they'll attack you, they'll do all sorts of very different stuff. Lots of really neat stuff in this game. I think I went over all the quirks. You play until either all 4 players have been exhausted, because once you die, you're not completely dead, you're just exhausted. I didn't have time to go into that. Or until Gravehold dies, or until you completely run out of this deck, in which case you actually win the game, or if you knock the bad guy down to 0 health. But that, in a longer than I was expecting nutshell, is how Aeon's End is played. Alrighty then, Aeon's End from Indie Board and Cards and Action Phase Games. What are our final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, 1 to 4 players, restricted player count. Also, if you're not into cooperative games, this is 100% cooperative, and it's very cooperative. You really need to work together in order to win the game. Also, it is a deck builder, which is going to scare some people off, but I think you would agree with me. There's a lot of there's a couple interesting things in here that separate this from your typical deck builder. Now, you don't have any real cons of the game, do you? You're a huge fan of this game, as am I, but there are some things, there's some little quirks here and there. First and foremost, the box is huge freaking mungous. It is gigantic compared to what comes in there, which is great. I'm hoping there's boatloads and boatloads of expansions because I'm about to gloat all over this game. But for now, the box is really, really big. Also, the game can be very difficult. Now, I love difficult games. I don't know about you.
It can.
Yeah, I want a challenge. I want the game to slap me in the face. I want to come this close to losing and this close to winning in a game. And that provides this. But that's not going to be everybody's cup of tea here.
No.
Definitely. And there will be some times, and this will happen, where you're just going to get a rough patch of cards that'll come out. Maybe you get 2 or 3 Nemesis cards in a row, 2 or 3 bad guy cards in a row, and then maybe you get 3 monsters spawning out there, and it's just like, we lost. There's nothing we can do. Now, luckily, that's only happened for me once, and we still tried to suck it out. It just also so happened that we didn't have a very good combination of characters, and we also didn't have a very good combination of cards out there that would help us repair Gravehold. But, very difficult game, something you did need to be noted, even though you can lower or raise the difficulty in what feels like a pretty natural way. Any other cons that I have with the game? Oh, once you get to 4 players, it is going to go longer than the 60 minutes, I do believe. I believe that's 2 or 3 players, mostly at 60 minutes, but I don't think I have any more cons with the game. Starting on the pros, I love this game. I think it's fantastic, and it is my new favorite deck building game, so slap a Bauer's Bestie on it. That's how much I enjoy this game. You're in the same boat, though, right?
Yes. I like this game a lot.
What did you like about the game? What struck you? Because you play a lot of games, and you're not impressed with a lot of the games we play.
No.
So what struck this game as a game that you really enjoyed?
I'm not impressed with most of the games.
Okay.
But that's just me. Because I really like working together as a team. I like cooperative games a lot. And this isn't just, oh yeah, you have to work with that person. No, you really have to work with that person.
Yes, you're gonna.
There's no other option. You can't go on your own and do your own thing. You have to work with the other person.
Yeah, it's not just like, oh, I'm gonna get a really awesome hand, and you're gonna get a really awesome hand, and maybe we win. And maybe you can win, you know. But most of the time, you're going to be like, all right, I need more charges because my special ability against this particular boss is more useful than your special ability, so I'm going to need you to kind of be my healer to give me these charges so I can keep, getting these high-powered cards, and you're going to do this. It's a very cooperative aspect, and as you add more players, that becomes a little bit more evident. It becomes there's becomes some interesting choices. It's like, oh, I can do this for an ally, but I'm not sure which one should get it. Oh, and some of the way the cards is worded when it comes to giving things to an ally, it's a little bit weirdly worded. Not a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination, but still something I did want to note in the con side. But another thing that I love about this game is the quirks all work. You don't shuffle your deck. That sounds really weird.
It does.
And the first time you play, you might not use it that much, but then you're like, oh, if I would have done this differently, if I would have put this on top of this would have came up when I needed to trash something. I also love the fact that you can save up your hand. It's like you draw up to 5 cards, so you can potentially be like, I want to save up for a really good hand next time. I love how you can get the breaches, and I just like that system. That's a really cool system. How it's like, oh, I got 2 extra credits. Should I buy a charge? Should I turn my breach? Maybe should I buy a cheap gem? Every single turn, it feels like you have something to do, and that is one thing I really love about this game.
You're not questioning it. The question is, which one should I do?
Yeah, like you get Dominion, you get Star Realms, you get just about any other deck builder out there. You're gonna get those hands where it's like, can't do anything, or I got $2, not much to do. But in this game, there's legitimately just about every turn something for you to do, and I like that aspect. I also love the spells. Now, I know some people are going to see the number of spells in the game and be like, ooh, I don't think there's enough spells. And these buy rows, there's only 5 cards in each row. But just the way they work together is really cool. Like, there's some spells, you got your typical stuff, the stuff that gives you money and the stuff that trashes. But then there's cards that if you put them in your breach and you don't use them, and you're going to want to use them, they'll give you a persistent special ability. And if you're at a point in the game where you can actually keep that card up there, it can really help you out over the long run. Yep. You won't get into that position too often because most of the time the game slaps you back down, but I really do like that. So I like how there's no shuffling. I like how the breaches work. I really like, the bosses. There's just so much to talk about.
Yeah, the monsters.
Yes, there's only 4 in the game. And you're like,
I really like how different they are.
Yes, they're incredibly variable. There's one that eats your cards, and there's your typical one that just kind of strikes you down, and there's one that spawns husks, and there's one that makes you didn't play that one. It makes you gain cards, so you now have these crummy cards in your hand that come up and they do bad things, and it just makes for even more interesting choices. I mean, this game is just there's so much potential for things they could add. Like, you look at your typical deck builder, like your Trains or your Dominion, which I love both those games, but there's not too much. It's like you get more cards, that's about it. But this, it's like more bosses, more characters, because we didn't even talk about it. Asymmetrical. This game is very cool in that aspect, where or I should say variable player powers, not asymmetrical. Each player is going to start with their own different custom deck, and so you're going to get your Sparks, you're going to get your Buck, but you're also going to get a card that is very distinctly you, and those cards are really good. It might be really good early, it might be really good late, it might be really good throughout. So much to like about this game.
And then you have your
you also have your own complete special ability once you fill up your charges. And so then it becomes, ooh, I really need to fill this up, and it's like, oh, I have like $8 here, and I kind of think I should just buy 4 charges because I really need to prepare when we're going to deal with these minions over here. Oh, you can't tell.
You really need to figure out how to play to your special ability.
Yeah, that's super important. If you go through a game,
you're a person that may like to strike the monster more, your person might not be suited to do that. So you have to be able to be flexible in that manner.
Yes, and there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different characters you can play at. Tons of variability. I mean, even the currency in this game. Your typical currency. What do you got? You got your 1, you got your 3, you got your 6. You know, Star Realms. Well, you got your even the currency in this game has cool special abilities. This one you put on the top. This one, if you discard a card, then you get to draw a card. This one will give you +1 to different spells. Like, there's so many different moving parts in this game, and they all come together to work just about perfectly. This game is absolutely spectacular, and there's probably still 5 other things that I'm not even talking about that I absolutely adore about this game. If you like deck building, if you like cooperative, solo. I gotta mention it, solo. I got a lot of people who watch solo. Yeah, you like solo, check it out. Get it. It's still good. You can play by yourself. You play with where you're playing as numerous characters. I still liked it that way. Can't wait to see what they come in the future. Oh, I'm not done. I am not done. Because this little sheet right here, this is fantastic. You didn't deal with this.
No,
I did. When you first start a game, it's always annoying to get the setup and the shuffle the cards and to figure out which cards are which, especially in a deck building game. They got this little sheet. It'll have you set up in like 5-10 minutes. Yes, you still have to read the rules, but now everything is set up. They have all the cards in the right order, and you're ready to go. Every game company needs to do this. Couldn't tell. This one's staying on my shelf.
I don't think he's a fan.
Aeon's End, indie board and cards, action phase games, absolutely spectacular. My new favorite deck building game. Can't wait to see what else comes from this game. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know what is your favorite deck building game. I'm obviously going to exclude this one, but what's your favorite? I know, you only like 2 of them, really.
Yeah.
Well, you like this better than that one, right?
Yeah.
So this would be your new favorite deck?
This would be my favorite, yeah.
And your second would be Dominion. For me personally, it was Dominion for a long time, but Star Realms. Star Realms is, and I will say, I love Star Realms. I love this. I feel like they fit different niches just because Star Realms is so quick. But yeah, Star Realms is my second favorite deck builder now, with this being number 1. But let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite deck builder? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.